You know, there's one person I know who never truly runs out of gas. Yep. The Asher boy. Unfortunately,
I've ran out of gas a couple of times.
I ran out once, and it was when I was going up an on ramp, heading home. I was about 5 minutes from home, and I was praying. I was just like, "Please let me get home. Please let me get home." Going up the on ramp, just all of a sudden, like,
shit.
It was like 2 a.m. in the morning, and I'm like,
oh no.
So I did what a responsible person would do. I threw my car into neutral, and I let it roll down the hill backwards, and I pulled over on the side of the road, out of the way, and then I sat there with my phone, and I debated with myself, who will be less pissed off at me for waking them up at 2 a.m. in the morning?
Who'd you call?
I called my mom.
Oh, I was like, why not call your mom? She would absolutely drop anything.
I know she would, but at the same time, I was just like, she'll probably get pissed at me if I wake her up if she finally has a chance to sleep, and I interrupt that. I know I'm never gonna hear the end of it. Thankfully, though, she was already still up. She was still up. So I was just like, Mom, I ran out of gas.
How old were you?
I was like 23.
Oh.
Yeah, I was. And I'm like, Mom, I ran out of gas, like, on the on-ramp leaving Norton. Can you come down here with a gas can and please help me out? Mm-hmm. She's like, all right, let me grab my things. Be right there. And then she got the gas can, put like a couple gallons of gas in it. We drove to the gas station. She filled my car up with gas. And I was just like, you didn't have to do that.
Of course she did.
I'm like, Mom, you didn't have to do that. She's like, shh, shut up.
She's like, if you're not going to do it, I will.
So, either way, I was good. I was good for a while after that.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
For me,
Mom to the rescue.
My dad to the rescue.
Ah, okay.
I ran out of gas for the first time in my 09 Chevy Cobalt.
Oh, yeah?
On my way to work in the middle of a freaking intersection. But it wasn't like a big intersection.
No.
It was just like it's where like a back road crossed another back road.
Yeah.
And the place that I worked was up a hill. And, well, let's see. I was a little bit past the stop sign. And then a freaking cop comes up there and he's like,
hi.
Are you okay? I was like, my dad's on his way.
Ran out of gas.
I ran out of gas.
Yeah.
And he filled it enough to where I could get to a gas station after my shift.
Well, that's good.
And then the other time was when it was, let's see, right after I think it was right after we moved into this house.
Okay.
I ran out of gas going towards, I guess we were going out to eat or something, and we were running late, and Caitlin's mom had to come and get me some gas, and then we helped her.
That's another thing I was going to mention. Yeah.
We had to freaking find we got a bug sprayer thing.
Here was the thing. We had a gas can, but it didn't have a nozzle that you could like pour it into the car.
Right.
So instead, I developed the brilliant idea. We had an old insect sprayer out there that hadn't been used forever. It hadn't been used in forever. It was cleaned out. So basically what I did was I went and I filled up the gas can.
Well, she called me.
Yeah.
And this was when I wasn't sleeping at night, so I was awake.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, I'm not doing this by myself.
Of course not.
So
I wouldn't expect you to. You knocked on my door.
I'm like, who else would be awake and willing to help me?
Hi.
So I knocked on Nate's door.
This guy.
And I'm like, Nate, Miss Huff ran out of gas. Can you help me with it? And he's like, okay.
All right.
And then that's when he developed that plan. We went out to the side.
So here's what I had to do. I got the gas can and I filled it up. We got about 2.5 gallons of gas in it. Yeah. And then the insect sprayer, in order to like make it to where the gas would go in, I snipped off the end where they had the insect sprayer on it, and I ran the tube in there, and I took the top off, poured enough gas that would go in there, and then would pump it, and then it would go in, wait for it to empty out, and just rinse and repeat.
And then we get there. Well, before he did the gas thing, I put the gas in the car. We get there, and she was on an off ramp.
Yes.
Pulled over. And we're like, well, where is she? She was on the other side of the car peeing.
Oh, God. I remember that. We
pulled up. I was like, oh, my God, I'm glad we didn't see that.
Yeah, thank God. But
she had to go, and when you gotta go, you gotta go.
No, so. Agreed. So, but after we got done,
so funny.
After we got done putting all the gas in there, she was just like, I think that'll be enough for me to get home. And we're like, no, go to the Shell station.
And we followed her to the gate.
We followed her to the Shell station to make sure she made it.
Yeah.
She made it. She started putting gas in her car, and we're like, are you good now? And she was like, I'll be good now.
Yeah.
And then I remember telling Jacob this story.
And then I made sure she, texted me when she got home.
Yes.
So
I remember talking to Jake a few days later, and he was just like, man, she just can't accept the fact that $5 ain't enough to get her where she needs to go. And he's right. Gas is going
They've had a story about gas, too, where Jacob had to walk at 4:30 in the morning.
Oh, gosh.
To go rescue Amy.
Hey, that's how you got to do it sometimes, man.
Yep. I think he had the kids, too. I don't know.
Jesus.
Yeah. But anyway.
Yeah, we got some
We had some horrifying stories. Let's listen to these.
Yeah, let's find out what horrifying stories Mr. Nightmare has for us about being out of gas. Here we go.
I want one of those.
Mr. Kreider. Or Kreider. However you pronounce it. This happened way back in 2005. I was 18. I was living in Uvalde, Texas.
2005, you were 18. Bro, I was 16. So, this guy's a couple years older than
2005, I was...
4th grade. Right?
I was... 11? No. I turned 12 at the end of the year.
Okay.
No?
Well, no, because I'm 6 years older than you.
13. Wait, okay, so how old were you?
I was 16.
Then I was 10.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
You were 10 or 11.
Yeah, I was 11. I was 11.
Okay.
I was right. I was 11.
Okay.
A very low-income neighborhood. The kind you'll find sprawled out all over the place in rural Texas when you're not right outside of a city. The closest city to me was San Antonio.
Ooh, I've been there.
I was going to some local community college because that's all my parents could afford for me. One of my best friends from high school, Andrew, moved to San Antonio to go to San Antonio College. He was living in some small apartment a little outside of the city with a roommate. His girlfriend would also often stay with him. Since the city's only really an hour and a half away, I would visit him all the time. He invited me this one weekend to come crash for the night. So I took my trusty old 1995 Toyota pickup truck.
Hell yeah!
I'm just kidding. The thing was a piece of crap. The gas gauge didn't even work on it. I'd have to always just keep track of when the last time I filled the tank up was. Then reset the trip mileage. I took Route 90, which was a straight shot from Uvalde to San Antonio. I was on the road at 3 p.m. on a Friday.
Yeah, I've been there. I've been on that road, Uvalde to San Antonio. Yeah, that's a pretty good drive.
In a Chrysler.
Oh.
Because my uncle had a Chrysler, one of those Chrysler 300 things.
Yeah.
And I remember listening to what was that song? So it was actually 2 years later that I was actually in San Antonio. I went in 2007. We flew out there to see him. But anyway, we were listening to that something about sweet tea song. Who sings that song?
Something about sweet
Dirk
tea.
Bentley.
I think so. Hold on.
Something.
Let me look. Something about
Billy Currington.
See, there's something.
Something about sweet tea.
Oh.
Who sings it?
Hold on.
It's not Dirk Bentley. Maybe Billy Currington. I don't know. I don't remember.
I don't know. Yeah, Billy Currington. Yeah,
Billy
that's it.
Currington?
Yes.
Okay. One of those.
Yeah, I think.
And there was no traffic at all.
Oh.
I got to Andrew at a reasonable time. His girlfriend wouldn't be getting there until tomorrow, so tonight we were going to go out. We stopped at a liquor store and we drank in his apartment for a while with his roommate.
It's a very
Then the
nice
three
bar.
of us went to this dive bar that
Like
would
that
kind of look
couch,
the other
too.
way
Oh,
with
yeah.
fake IDs.
That's the
That
kind of
was
section
basically
I
our
want
night.
now.
We got back to their apartment around
I like
2
those
a.m.
bar
after getting
stools, too.
food. I slept on the couch.
It's just a good overall bar. What else is there?
The whole setup.
Yeah,
It's pretty cool.
The whole thing is
Yeah.
nice.
The next
Very
day would have
aesthetically
almost
pleasing.
been the same thing, but Andrew and his girlfriend were having issues all day, and as the two of them got drunker as the night progressed, she started yelling at him in front of me, and it got really awkward and uncomfortable. I didn't really have much to drink that day because I was already iffy about staying the night with her there. I eventually decided I would just head back home. I said goodbye to everyone and started my journey home. It was very late at night. I want to guess midnight, maybe a little earlier. Route 90 was deserted at this time, so I would fly for my pickup standards. But suddenly the engine started sputtering. I felt my heart completely
shit.
drop as I realized I forgot to fill up the tank. I slowed down, but it was too late. The engine cut. I pulled to the side of the road and tried starting it a few times, but it did no good. I took out my cell phone, which was equally as shitty as my truck. I tried to get a signal. No shot.
Damn.
I couldn't even call for help. I had to just put my hazards on and hope a good Samaritan would pass. You wouldn't believe how long I sat in the side of the road before seeing headlights. I waved my arms as the car approached, but it zoomed past me, ignoring me. This happened again after another 10 minutes or so. I was starting to feel hopeless, like maybe I should just sleep in my car and wait till sunrise to get help. So that's what I was gonna do. I got inside my car, took the key out of the ignition to cut the battery, and just angled my seat back to go to sleep. I would hear the occasional car zooming past like once every 10 minutes, but it didn't feel worth waving people down in the dark. It seemed sketchy for myself and to the people in the cars, but when I was starting to actually drift away to sleep, a car door closing from behind me woke me up. I looked in the rearview mirror and saw a car pulled up behind me with its headlights off. I turned around now to get a better look. There was some big pickup truck, but I couldn't see anyone inside of it, nor did I see anyone outside of it. Maybe someone pulled over to help. I got out of the car and said "excuse me" to no response. I walked closer to the truck just to confirm no one was inside. Then I walked back to my car. This was weird. I looked towards the trees on the side of the road. Maybe someone was pissing in the woods. I went back inside of my car and locked the door.
Yes, maybe.
This was just too weird. Suddenly there was a tap at my window. I jumped. I looked to see a man looking down at me into the car, smiling. I didn't do anything
hell
yet.
no.
He said, "Hey buddy, need a hand?" I lowered the window a crack and said, "Hey, I ran out of gas." The man said, "That's quite the predicament. Step out and give me a hand with this real quick." When he said this, I thought he meant help him with a gas jug to fill up my tank or something, honestly. And so I stepped out of the truck and shut the door, expecting him to lead me to his truck. But he stood there, looked down at me because he was much taller, still smiling, and said, "I need you to empty your pockets, please."
Oh, shit.
It took me a second to process what he meant. I was literally a broke college student driving a piece of shit pickup truck. I wasn't about to get robbed of the only cash I had and my phone. I ran for it in the direction of the trees. I'm small but fast. I turned around and saw he was chasing after me. Once I made it into the trees, I zigzagged all over the place until I seemed to lose him. Then I crouched behind a big tree to catch my breath. When I heard him approaching closer, I quieted my breath. I heard him say out loud, "I'll kill you, you piece of shit." I don't know if he was just saying it out loud out of anger, or if he wanted me to hear it, but I was too scared to move. Even after I heard his footsteps move away, I didn't move. In fact, I stayed in this position the rest of the night, eventually laying behind this big tree up until dawn. I went back over to the highway to my truck, and the truck behind me was gone, but my truck's doors were both open. I found that my glove box had been gone through and completely emptied of anything somewhat valuable. My flannel hoodie was also taken, which had something in the pocket, I'm sure. I finally managed to wave down a good Samaritan, and he gave me a ride to the closest gas station. I bought a fuel can, filled it with gas, and the man brought me back to my car, where I filled my tank just enough to drive the truck to a gas station to fill up completely. Then I went straight home. This was a real-life learning experience for me, that there are bad people out there who will try to take advantage of you when you're in a vulnerable spot. But there are also good people, like the man who helped me.
Very true. Very, very true.
Catherine.
Uh-oh.
When I was 18, I was very immature and naive. I was kind of a jerk when I was on the road, honking whenever I got impatient, borderline cutting people off. Looking back now, it was very stupid, and if I ever have kids, I'll be that much more strict with them as far as their driving.
Yeah. Drone shots like that always give me, just I love those shots.
Yeah.
Hold on, I'm trying to adjust these again. Hold on. There we go. Sorry. Just trying to sorry everyone, once again trying to make sure this matches and everything.
Ow. Calliope. That's my leg.
Digging her claws into it.
That is my leg, honey. Let go. Ow. Well, you're hurting my leg. Come here.
TJ.
You need your nails trimmed, sweet pea. Come on.
Sheesh.
There. Lay down.
Aw, poor little girl.
She's fine. It's hurting Mama. I had to move you. Okay. We're all good.
All good?
Yeah.
All good in the hood? Cool. Alright, sorry. Had to adjust Asher again, too.
That being said, I did drive a lot for someone my age. I went away to school 5 hours away from home. No matter what day of the week, traffic always gets atrocious the closer I get to home. So during breaks, I'll drive home at night to avoid this. It goes from a 4 to 5 hour drive down to a 3-hour drive. It was the beginning of winter break, as the fall semester just ended. All my friends left for home on the same day. I just waited till later on in the night to head out, because there's nothing I hate more than traffic. I used to drive a Mazda 3 that I would beat the ever-living crap out of, and admittedly, I used to be known for driving my car to a near-empty tank consistently. People would comment on it whenever they'd be in the car with me, and I'd always assure them that the car would still have at least 30 miles to go even after the needle would hit E. I found out the night I was driving home from school that I was wrong. I was only like an hour into my drive on the interstate. The needle was on E, and I was pushing my luck, waiting for a gas station sign instead of looking up the nearest one on the map. The car started making these weird sounds suddenly and jolting, and that's when I realized I may have actually run the tank empty this time. I got off the first exit ramp and hoped it would lead right to a gas station. This exit was dark though, with no street lights, and there was just woods on either side. I was scared to slow down and lose my speed because I didn't know if I'd have enough gas to find a gas station. I blew through the stop sign at the end of the ramp and made a sharp, fast turn on the intersecting road, which was another dark road surrounded by woods. I was screwed. The car eventually came to a stop and the engine died. Things only got worse when I took out my phone and saw I had no bars. I have T-Mobile, which is the worst possible reception anywhere far from a major city.
Yes.
I tried calling 911 because I was stupid and thought that...
The worst are T-Mobile and Sprint. Those are just awful. AT&T's a bit better. Verizon has the best coverage. I mean, Mom almost never loses signal.
Yeah.
911 works even without reception.
She's always on the phone.
Of course, it didn't. I was terrified because I didn't know what to do. I turned on my hazard lights and just waited for someone to pass by. It was a long time before I saw headlights approaching. When I did, I flashed my headlights at them, and they passed me, made a U-turn, then pulled up on the grass behind me. I didn't know who was getting out of that car though, and I was an 18-year-old defenseless girl. I just cracked the window down a little bit as this man approached my car. I told him I need help, I ran out of gas. He offered to give me a ride to the nearest gas station. He was this balding guy with glasses on. He kind of looked trustworthy. I had no other apparent options but to accept his offer. I got out of the car and followed him to his car, making sure to lock my doors first. His car was a black Honda, year probably a 2010. It smelled funky in his car. I couldn't pin what the smell could be though. He banged another U-turn and started driving in the direction he was driving before. He made conversation with me, asking where I was from and basic questions. I was honest with him that I was driving home from school. He said he lived in the area, and that they don't get too many out-of-towners getting off the interstate for this quiet little town. The route we were taking lacked any buildings anywhere. It was just woods everywhere. I asked if he knew of any gas stations, and he said yeah, just a ways up the road. I started hearing bumping and thumping coming from the back of the vehicle. It sounded like the trunk. At first I thought it was maybe just bumps in the road or a loose object in the trunk. He seemed to keep talking and talking, like he wouldn't stop. Finally, we got to a sort of town-looking area. There were some lights and buildings at last. A diner and a few small houses. There was a red light at the first intersection since I got in his car. We came to a stop, and for the first time there was silence. And then, I heard the unmistakable sound of someone screaming in the trunk, followed by thumps and bangs.
Oh my god.
I looked at the man who looked at me. In a split second, I unbuckled my seatbelt, opened the door, and ran, while at the same time he tried grabbing me and pulling me back into the car. I heard him get out as well, but instead of chasing me, he ran to close his passenger side door, and then I heard him floor it down the street. I ran into the diner and asked for help, making a scene. I used their phone to call 911. I waited there, and it became this whole huge thing, with multiple police showing up to the diner to take a report. Given the gravity of the report that I was making, that I heard someone in the trunk of the car, they had to get every last detail for me about the man's car, his appearance, and where he picked me up. I was also given a ride back to my car so that they could also include the pickup location in the report. They also helped me get a hold of AAA, which eventually would come to my location to fill my car with gas. This was overall the scariest experience of my life. I was shaken to the core.
I would say so. Jesus wept,
Oh my
man.
gosh.
I just, okay.
An 18-year-old girl.
Yeah.
I can just imagine. I mean,
Marooned on the side of the road, and you hear that. Look, I always
think I was 18 whenever I ran out of gas. But, like, luckily, it was in, like, I live in a small town, and my
you were
daddy...
still local.
Yeah, my daddy drove. I mean, it was, like, 20 minutes to my job from our house. So, like, he went to there's several gas stations that I could have went to on my way to work, but I did not. He's like, you're gonna ruin your fuel, what's it called? Fuel pump. You can't leave it, you can't let it go under a quarter.
Okay.
That's what he said.
Sure thing.
He's like, don't do that again. And then, lo and behold, I'm like, not saying my age right now, but I'm a grown-ass woman, and I run out of gas.
Well.
Again.
Well, it's your own. It happens. I mean, it's unfortunate that stuff happens, but thankfully you were in a decent enough area to where it wasn't going to be bad.
You know what I did?
What
Next
did you
day
did?
when I talked to my dad,
Uh-oh.
I told him about it, and he said, you're going to ruin your fuel pump. And I said, I know, Dad.
I know. Just leave me be. Oh, God. Anyway, sorry.
But now, his voice is ingrained in my head, so like I'm always gonna remember.
I was gonna say, anytime that you're running low on gas, you're gonna be like, you're gonna ruin your fuel pump.
Yep. I mean, I actually think about that. Like, I don't let it get below a quarter of a tank. And I told your mama not to let it get. You know,
you're gonna ruin your fuel pump.
That's another story. We almost ran out of gas the other day going to your sister's house.
Oh.
Your mama called me.
Wait,
she said,
were you on that dry stretch?
No, listen. Okay, she called me, and she's on this road, like, coming towards the house to get me.
Uh-huh.
You know, the road right.
Yeah. The back road.
And she said, I only have 17 miles to empty. Am I going to make it? And I said, yeah, you should make it. You're only 10 miles away from our house. And she said, okay, well, where's the nearest gas station? I said, well, it's only like 3 miles away from us. So
yeah.
You should be fine. We pulled into the gas station 1 mile till empty.
That sounds about right. That sounds about right.
I was like, we were running on fumes.
Yes.
But we made it.
Thank goodness you made it. Oh,
and it
man.
cost like $50 to fill up her tank.
Yeah.
And she was like, I can't believe this. I remember when it used to be half this to fill up my tank.
Yeah. Thanks.
Like,
Thanks, economy. Thanks, economy.
It sucks.
Well done.
I mean, no wonder why we're running out of gas. I mean,
yeah.
It costs too much. Anyway.
The cost of gas is too damn high.
Yeah. I remember seeing a picture of my hometown. It was like of my hometown of an Ingles sign, and it said $1.95, and I'm like, oh my gosh! Oh no, $1.09. That's what it was.
Yeah,
and I was like, I can't believe that. Like gas used to cost. I can't. I mean, it's just hard to fathom now.
There was a time back when I was a kid. I took a picture, me and my dad at this old Chevron gas station, and I remember it was August 2001, right before September 11th. You know how much gas was then?
No.
97 cents.
Holy shit.
It was 97 cents at the Chevron in St. Paul.
You know what grade I was in? I was in 2nd grade when that happened.
Wow. Yeah, I was in 8th grade. I remember I was sitting, because I heard about it.
I remember it being on the
They turned on the TV.
In the school.
Oh, man.
And then my mom came and got me. She got us out. She got me out early. My sister wasn't in school. She was at daycare. And we had to go get her. And I remember that song, like, God Bless the USA, that they would play.
Yeah.
And, I mean, everybody remembers where they were when that happened.
I remembered it was, we'd heard about something that was happening. Then all of a sudden, we turned on the TV. It was just after morning announcements, and our teacher was just like, well, let's see what's going on, I guess.
Right.
As soon as we turned it on, second plane flew in and hit. And I remember it. I remember exactly where I was standing. I was standing up by the teacher's desk, and I was leaning on the teacher's desk, and I was looking down at some papers that were graded and everything. And all of a sudden, I remember looking up at the TV as soon as they turned it on, and it wasn't like 5 seconds after they turned it on, the second plane hit, and you hear the newscasters go, oh, another one. There was another one. And I was like, wait, what? And then... You've been to the memorial, haven't you? I've been before and I've been after. I went to...
Oh, you got to see the actual...
back in 2000.
Yeah, that was... Yeah.
We did a 9 o'clock club trip up there, and I got to see them. I got to actually be in the buildings and see the stock market, the stock exchange.
Mm-hmm.
And then I remembered I went the year after in 2002, and I'll never forget just seeing the cleanup that was going on and just like, wow.
Have you been to the memorial though?
I have not been to the memorial. No, I have not been.
I've
there.
only been to the memorial.
I haven't been to New York since the 2000s, Kate. It's been a while.
Wildfire. I've been 4 times.
Congrats.
In the past, since 2018.
Nice. Anyway, let's get back
Sorry.
to this.
Sorry, people.
Core the whole rest of the ride home. I hope they found that man. And I hope whoever was in that trunk is still alive today.
I hope so too.
For all I know,
Fingers
that man could
crossed.
have been bringing me to his house or somewhere else. And I was just lucky I had a chance to get out at that red light.
He's a sleepy puppy.
Yeah, he's a good boy. He's a good boy.
The flappy gums.
Floop, 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 floop. He's a good boy, though. Look at it. Just
What are you doing?
all of a sudden you see, sometimes I see him sleeping and he just goes,
Yeah, I was trying to get him to do that.
alright.
Okay. Distraction.
This last one was submitted by Anonymous.
I live in Burke County, North Carolina, in Morganton.
Wow.
I'm used to the quiet lifestyle
I know
that comes
that
with
place.
living in a rural place. You get some weird characters here and there, but it's usually nothing too bad. I own a nice plot of land with my husband. My work schedule fluctuates. Sometimes I work days, sometimes I work nights. This happened on a night that I was on my way home after a night shift.
Yeah.
So it had to be like 3 a.m. My phone was almost dead, I was hungry, I was tired, and I just wanted to get some food and head home. I stopped at a gas station to get $10 worth of gas and also a package.
Okay, when the fuck was this taken?
Oh my gosh.
Look at that. When in the hell?
Talk about, like...
Oh,
We were just talking about how low it was.
yeah.
Oh
What
my
like,
gosh.
when in the hell was this?
Sandwich, which I proceeded to eat inside the gas station cafe. Some sketchy guy was eyeing me for a little until he left the building without buying anything. After eating, I went outside to fill up the gas, and then got back in the car. The smell of gasoline was extra pungent for some reason. These roads are very dark and twisty at night, so I was driving slow, especially since I was tired after a long day of work. Then something unexpected happened. The needle on the gas gauge suddenly dropped to E, and the low gas light came on and beeped. I had no idea what was going on. I'm not a car person, and I'd never run out of gas before this.
They cut the line
Yeah.
because the pungent smell of gas being there. I would
Lucky
say,
your car didn't catch on fire.
yeah,
Remember when
Plus the needle.
damn squirrels
nommed out my mom's gas line.
it cost $10,000 to
That's
fix that.
ridiculous, dude. And after she fed them too,
I know.
she fed them a shit ton of peanuts.
You know what? She don't feed them peanuts no more.
No. Instead, she shoos them away. She's like,
Yep.
"Nah, get out, go away."
No, Jack's shoes them away, actually.
Yeah.
Now, okay.
It just suddenly dropped. I thought at first that the computer was glitching, so I pulled over and restarted the car, but the needle was still on E. I tried to continue driving, but the engine died. I started having a panic attack. I called my husband first thing, and thank God he picked up. I asked him how did my car run out of gas after I just filled up, and as I got out of the car, I smelled gasoline. I told him this, and he said it sounds like I have a leak. He told me he'd head right over, and he'd call our roadside assistance company. But then I heard a car coming with no headlights, and suddenly it stopped, not far behind my car.
Oh, shit.
I suddenly thought to bring up that sketchy guy who was watching me at the gas station, and I asked my husband if there was a chance he did something to my car. My husband's tone suddenly changed to sounding more concerned and worried. He said yes, there's a chance that he may have cut my fuel line. I didn't know what that meant. All I knew was I needed to run. I took my keys out of the ignition and shut the door and locked it so that the headlights would turn off. My phone was on like 2%, so I told him to text me when he's close. I ran off the road and towards the first house I could find. I ran down the long driveway and up the property to the front door. All the lights in the house were off. I still rang the bell multiple times anyway. Eventually, a light turned on, and then the door opened. A man in his 60s opened the door. He looked like he was just woken up. I asked him to let me in to hide and charge my phone. After a bit of explaining, he opened the door fully and let me in. I asked him for an iPhone charger, and he said he'd go look for one, and asked me to take a seat in the living room. I sat down, still in my nurse scrubs, feeling a mix of emotions. The man called out from the kitchen asking me if I wanted some water. I said yes, please. Little did he know, I saw his reflection in a mirror in the living room that gave visibility into the kitchen. I saw him fill a cup with water. Then I know for a fact I saw him drop something into the water. He walked out of view of the mirror.
They were tag teamed.
Yeah.
But the faucet was still running. It ran for a solid 30 more seconds before he turned it off. He came back into the living room with a glass of water and handed it to me. I thanked him, and he sat down and just looked at me, then asked me to explain the situation again. I replied to him I just really need a charger so that I could contact my husband. He said, "Oh, right," and went upstairs. I checked my phone, and it was on 1%.
Oh my god.
I used that remaining battery to send my current location to my husband just in case. I then smelled the glass of water, and although it didn't smell like anything, I knew he put something in it. Now I had to make the decision of whether I should leave or not. On one hand, I needed to charge my phone badly. On the other, I was 99% sure he did something to this water. I heard him walking back down the stairs, and he said he doesn't have any iPhone chargers since he has an Android. After he said this, I got up and walked straight for the door. I'm not an idiot. Once outside, I ran back down the driveway to the road. I felt like throwing up. I couldn't believe 2 separate potential incidents from 2 different men happened in one night.
Oh.
I crept along the side of the road behind the trees. I took out my phone and sent my updated location, and right around now was when my battery died. I waited for until I saw familiar headlights of my husband's truck. I went out waving my arms, and thank God it was him. I got inside the truck and let all my emotions out, crying to him about what I just went through.
I can't
He brought
imagine.
us to my car, and there was no longer a car behind mine. My back window was shattered though, and it appeared someone had gotten into the back seat, but nothing of high value was left in my car to steal anyway. My car battery was also now dead. When I told my husband about the man who tried to potentially roofie me, he was so furious he wanted to go break down his door, but I told him no, let's just wait for the tow truck to come. We waited quite a while before it came. My car was towed to my dealership, where they would take the car in the next day. My husband was right. My car was vandalized and the fuel line was cut completely.
Oh my god.
Thank God I was off the next few days because I needed some time to mentally recover from this night.
Yeah.
The idea that twice in one night I was almost a victim of some sketchy men, I just couldn't get over.
Damn.
Damn, man. That is... Oh. That's
Always be aware of your surroundings. That's something that is ingrained in me from my daddy too. Like,
yeah.
My dad was big. Like, he'd get so mad if I had to get gas at nighttime. And there's another thing too that I saw that people will watch, like, younger women, like, that are alone or whatever, and they'll put a zip tie on the passenger rear window or door handle.
Yeah.
And you have to be alert. Stay alert. Don't get on your phone while you're at the gas pump.
Yeah.
I mean, like, check your surroundings. And
If you're in a very precarious situation like that, where, you know, you're in an unfamiliar...
Don't talk to people. I mean, you say hi-bye to the cashier, give them, you know, tell them what pump you're on or whatever, but get out of there as quickly as possible and, like, just, yeah.
Well, staying conscious of, like, everything going on around you, I think that's integral thing I think every person should do.
Yeah, not just a woman, but
no. I think in a lot of places it's just people wanting to take advantage of anyone in that situation, but specifically women. Yes,
but honestly, somebody's not gonna fuck with you because you're tall. I mean, you're
I'm taller and I'm a bigger guy.
Like, they're not gonna mess with you. But say, me, for example.
This is once again why I support the Second Amendment and specifically women carrying. Because I was gonna say, yeah, you tell him, Asher. You tell him.
He agrees.
Yes. Yeah. Oh, there he goes. Now he did it.
Oh gosh. He just farted.
Oh no.
Nice.
Unfortunate. So yeah.
But anyway, the Second Amendment.
Second Amendment and women carrying, and people say, well, that'll just make the situation even worse. Nuh-uh. You will be surprised how many people run to the hills whenever they hear a gunshot being fired. I mean, hell, Muhammad Ali is one of the most badass dudes ever to exist, and Sonny Liston fired a gun at him, and Muhammad Ali ran the fuck away. Mm-hmm. Did you know about that? Muhammad Ali?
I remember it from a long time ago.
Yeah, he basically just... Sonny Liston was sick and tired of hearing Muhammad Ali John at him, and he just pulled out a gun and shot at him. Mm-hmm. And then, all of a sudden, he was just like, oh yeah, by the way, this gun, and he fired it into his jacket. It's like, it's blanks.
I'm pretty sure Muhammad Ali's the only star on Hollywood Boulevard that's not on it's on a building. It's not... he didn't want his star to be walked on.
Yeah,
I have a picture of it from my trip to California.
I think you're right. There's some people who are really sensitive about that. It's a respect thing. But, alright. Anyway, that was Mr. Nightmare with 3 horrifying, true, out-of-gas horror stories. I'm going to leave a like on that. And be sure to check out more from Mr. Nightmare by clicking his name in the title of the video. And I guess until next time, everyone, signing off, I'm Nate.
I'm Kate. This is Asher. And this is Calliope.
And we'll see you in the next one. Peace.